Today, we are going to be rating, slating, and fixing your Euro 2024 fantasy teams. Welcome to FPL Mate, my name is Dan. It's time to get brutal up in here. Yes, guys, you have been sending me your Euro fantasy teams ready for me to rate them in this video. And guys, if you do enjoy this kind of content, you want me to rate some more teams, maybe you want to see your team rated, make sure you do drop a like and subscribe. If this video is popular enough, we will do another one later on in the week if there is time. So let me know if that's something you would like to see. But we're going to start here with a team sent in from Kempy, and I think this is a really good place to start. You can see on screen I have, well, I'm not on the person's account. I'm not on Kempy's account. Don't worry, I haven't hacked anyone, but I've recreated their team on my own account, so we can have a look at it and start fixing it a little bit. So, there's a few things I noticed about this team straight away. Now, first of all, on the face of it, it looks pretty good, actually. There's a lot of decent players here, a lot of fairly template players, but look, it looks like a solid team, but this is clear evidence of a team. I thought this was a great place to start because this is evidence of a team from an FPL manager, maybe someone who's come from another fantasy game who doesn't know how Euro fantasy works. And guys, before we go any further, make sure you do check out the how to play video. This person who made this team needs to watch the how to play video, and maybe you do too, because it's in the wrong order. The team is in the wrong order. So, a great thing about Euro Fantasy is if we go to the dates page here, you can see that different players play on different days within the match day. Some players play on the 16th, some players play on the 17th, and this is all wonderful and fantastic. Now, however, what we need to recognize is that within Euro Fantasy, you can actually make substitutions during the match day, as the match day progresses, but only for players, replacing players with another player who hasn't played yet. So if your player on your bench has not played yet, you can substitute them on for anyone. It's not reversible. If you want the full lowdown, check out the how to play video, like I say. But basically, this is how you want to do it. So you want to order your team. Like I say, go onto this day order thing, and you want to order your team so players who are playing later on in the week are playing, are on your bench. So Ronaldo plays on the 18th. So, for example, if Grimaldo plays, well, actually, Grimaldo wouldn't work. If Chiesa plays on the 15th, he only scores 1 or 2 points. You're disappointed with that score. Well, you can substitute on Ronaldo because at that point, Ronaldo will have not played yet. So we're also going to put Face in as well. We're going to replace him with, if there's anyone playing on the 17th, no there isn't, but we have got Kumbula here. Anyone who plays after the 15th, we've got some people playing on the 17th here, so maybe you can swap out Hernandez there. The goalkeeper is actually in the right place here, so that's good, but then we've got that sorted. Subs successfully made. You can see now that the players who are playing later on in the week are on the bench. The players who play earlier on in the week are on the field, and we can make those substitutions as it goes along. A lot of people don't know this, apparently. Also, same thing works with your captain. So what you want to do is you want to start off captaining someone who plays early on in the week. So in this example, we've got Rudiger and Wirtz playing on the 14th. So let's captain Wirtz for this team, and yeah, we've got that covered. If Wirtz doesn't do very well, we can swap the captain's armband to another player who hasn't played yet. In this team, you'll probably captain Wirtz. If that doesn't work out, you go for maybe Chiesa on the 15th. If that doesn't work out, you maybe go for Bellingham on the 16th. 17th, you'll have Mbappe, and then if Mbappe somehow doesn't score many points as well, you can substitute on Ronaldo and captain him as well. So that solves that issue immediately, and we've suddenly got a team that works. Previously, this team was a 6 out of 10, but just by fixing this, we are bringing that rating up to a 7 or an 8 out of 10. And the last way to fix this is by removing Kumbula, probably, because Kumbula doesn't even play. He's not even a player who's going to play. But unless you knew about this substitution rule, you probably weren't worried about your bench previously, but now you understand having a good bench is important. The other things I don't like about this team is Rudiger and Neuer. Not really very cost effective. I think if you just swap down Rudiger, he's 5.5 million. You swap him down straight away to Mittelstadt. Get much better value for money there. Don't really like Neuer for value for money either, but we'll leave him in for now. But yeah, doing that allows you to upgrade Kumbula. We can bring in a different defender that might work quite well. Let's think of a defender. Frimpong, for example. You go for Frimpong, maybe. So let's review those transfers, confirm those transfers, and this team is fixed. Now it is a 10 out of 10 team. We've fixed the team just like that. Just make sure the dates are looking good. Everything's in order. Beautiful. Team fixed. Team solved. It's gone from a 6 out of 10 to a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Just for simple changes. Easy. Now this next team comes from the famous TikToker of fantasy content, FPL Graduates. Guys, if you haven't checked out the FPL Graduates over on TikTok, please go and do so. But they've sent me their team for a rating or a slating. Let's see what we've got. So, first of all, first thing I notice about this team is that everything is in order. We've got this perfectly. If we go here to the dates, you can see that the players playing later on in the game week, Costa, Cancelo, Fernandes, and Trossard there as well, all play towards the end of the week. So you're ready to make those substitutions. We've also got the captain's armband all ready to go on a player playing on the 14th. Players from Germany and Scotland are the players you want to captain first of all. That's looking good. Excellent stuff there. But then I look into midfield and I think, who on earth is Kerin? Cherin? Who is he? Okay, I looked him up. He's got a few goal contributions in qualifying, but ultimately, I think this player is really an enabler. 5 million, that's all he costs. A kind of maybe an alternative to a Jorginho, which I guess is fine. But, you know, there's clearly some sacrifices being made in midfield there, hoping to maybe make up with some of these other players, Trossard, Fernandes in midfield. I like this team in general. I think the only player, major player missing is Kane, but I have no real problem with sacrificing Kane for Havertz. I think Havertz is a decent option indeed. I do think, however, double Germany attack is overrated a little bit. So I do want to talk about this one very, very briefly here, because I haven't really had a chance to talk about this in any other videos, because I know a lot of people are going for Germany attackers, so they have someone to captain in the first day of match day 1, to have that captain ready to go for the first day. So this is my opinion on this one. So when I am looking to captain players in the international fantasy games, what I like to do is I like to start off the week with risky picks, high risk, high reward picks who have got a good chance of getting those huge scores, 15 pointers plus. I want those players who are maybe a little unlikely to get those kind of scores, but it's possible. So I'm thinking players like Mittelstadt would be a perfect captain for me for the first day, because there's a chance he gets a clean sheet, a couple of ball recoveries, and maybe a goal contribution, a goal or an assist. However, with players like Havertz and Wirtz, Musiala, Gundogan, these other Germany attackers, what is the best you are hoping from them? Maybe 1 goal contribution? Maybe they get 6 or 7 points, and if they do, well, you're probably going to just move your captain's armband to another player anyway, because you're going to trust an Mbappe, you're going to trust Lukaku or a Kane or Bruno Fernandes or a Cristiano Ronaldo. You're going to trust them to get more than the 6-7 points that these Germany attackers are really kind of maxed out on, because there are so many different Germany attackers. Germany are a team that have so many different avenues of getting goals that it's kind of difficult to predict who is going to be the guy who gets the points. Is it going to be Havertz, Wirtz, Musiala, Gundogan? Is it going to be Toni Kroos? Is it going to be one of the defenders? It really could be anyone. Could it be Füllkrug comes off the bench or starts ahead of Havertz and gets the points that way? There is so many avenues. And what we also see with Germany is they make a lot of early substitutions, because they do have so many players at their disposal. You know, Sane probably going to be on the bench, a player that will be brought on from the bench. You're going to see a lot of these attackers, you know, coming up at 60 minutes, getting rotated, and therefore, all in all, are you getting the full value from those kind of positions? Germany are a team without a talisman. They really are. So it's very difficult to predict which individual player is going to be scoring points. And therefore, not only are they kind of maybe slightly mediocre fantasy assets, but also they're not very good captain options for a early game match day captain. You know, maybe later on they're kind of maybe a little safer, I guess, but they're not going to be players who score huge points. And if one of them scores, you know, huge points, well, what are the chances you've got that one player? Because if it could be one of so many different players, the chances are you have not got the right one. Whereas Mittelstadt, high risk, high reward. If it doesn't work out, fine. We've got all our safe captains for later in the match day. So that is my opinion on those Germany attackers. I'm not super keen. I think going for 1 is fine. Going for 2 is too much for me. So that is one thing I don't like about this team. The other minor thing with this team, the Moldovan and Costa goalkeeper double up works in Matchday 1. But this is something that I only recently discovered myself, so I'm not blaming anyone for not knowing this. But yeah, they don't actually work in Matchday 2, because in Matchday 2, both Moldovan and Costa play on the same day. So you can see here, Matchday 2, Romania play against Belgium on the 22nd, and also Portugal play Turkey on the 22nd. So that is not going to work. You can only make those substitutions and captain switches on each individual day. You can't make multiple in the same day. So just be aware of that. These two goalkeepers do not rotate in Matchday 2. It's fine if you're maybe using a chip in Matchday 2, but if you are planning on rolling this team through Matchdays 1 and 2, that goalkeeper rotation doesn't work. Goalkeepers is the one you need to be aware of this the most. Outfield players, it doesn't matter as much. It's easier to switch things around. But with goalkeepers, you know, there's only 2 players to switch. So you need to make sure that they have their fixtures on different days, not just for Matchday 1, but for 2 and possibly 3 as well, depending on your strategy. But overall, this team is a 9 out of 10, even as it is. And I don't really think it needs fixing necessarily. I think it's just a very, very solid team. I like it. The Germany attackers thing is my personal preference, but different people are going to have different opinions on that bad boy. All right, this team is from hzfCWh, and it's really, really good. Other than the double Germany attack, which again, like I say, is a preference thing for me, I really like this team. Yeah, it's very strong. It's pretty template. I would give this one an 8 out of 10. I think kind of just like Graduates team that we saw just a second ago, it is pretty much there. It doesn't really need fixing. It is a really, really strong team. This, I would say, is actually an 8 out of 10 because I'm not super keen on a team without Lukaku. If there was somehow Lukaku instead of Havertz, I know there's a bit of difference between the prices of those two players. I think this team could genuinely be a 10 out of 10. But I do really rate Lukaku for this tournament, and I wouldn't really want to go into Matchday 1 without him. But overall, it's a really good team. 8 out of 10, like I say. All right, this team comes in from Sally Nicholas 9. Dovbik, I like as a differential. Ericsson, I like as a differential as well. De Bruyne covers the lack of Lukaku, so I can kind of understand that a little bit. Double Croatia is a little bit wacky against Spain, but one thing I've found whenever I make international tournament content is that Croatia fans are, you know, they're serious. They are serious, and they are massively, massively hype up their players. They love their players. So, if I had to guess, this team comes from a Croatian, because every time I speak to Croatians about fantasy football, they love their players so much, and they cannot imagine a world without their players. But if I'm totally honest, do I love Croatia assets against Spain? No, I do not, man. I feel like there are more players that you might want to bring in Matchday 2 rather than going straight in with Matchday 1. I think maybe we kind of have a situation where the goalkeeper is not the one. I recreated this team, obviously, on my account. This goalkeeper they had was Dragowski, who isn't even in the game anymore. I've replaced with Skorupski, another 4 million goalkeeper for Poland, but ultimately, this is a team that doesn't have a playing goalkeeper. And what we kind of are seeing here is someone who maybe doesn't understand how this game works once again. Speaking on goalkeepers quickly, if you're looking for a 4 million goalkeeper, check out yesterday's video where we go through all of the goalkeepers and which are the best ones to pick. But there genuinely are playing 4 million goalkeepers that you can go for. We've got the likes of Bayendir, Moldovan, and Stanek all have a very decent chance of getting game time. So it's much better to go for one of them than a goalkeeper we know is not going to get any minutes at all. At least take the risk there. Frimpong maybe a little bit rotation risk, but I think that's fine. But the big thing is the order is wrong and the captain is wrong. This team is a 5 out of 10 and we need to fix it. So we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to have a look at the dates. And we're going to reorder things. Mittelstadt needs to start, so you've got to throw him on. Fernandez is a player for the bench. I mean, Ali G in the house, he's another player who just doesn't even play. So he's another player who is going to need to be replaced. Maybe we should do that first. But just to fix this team briefly before we do anything else, we will bring out off the players playing later on in the week. Portugal, Ukraine, and Belgium there with De Bruyne. And we leave ourselves with all of the players who play first on the pitch. We're going to captain. Well, in my opinion, it should probably be middle stat, but I think most people will probably disagree and say Kai Havertz. So, yeah, there we go. We've got something like that, and that kind of fixes the whole the rotation issue, the kind of the issue where people don't maybe understand how the game works and the rules of the game. But what I would be doing is I'd be looking to replace, well, I mean, obviously I'll replace those Croatian players, but I'm not going to upset any Croatians by doing that today. And I don't want to remove too many differentials as well. I appreciate some differentials, but let's bring in Bayendir as the goalkeeper. And we're going to bring in another 4 million defender. And we're going to bring in Face for that one. Let's review those transfers, confirm those transfers. And suddenly we've turned a 5 out of 10 team into a team that is looking a lot better. This is now probably, I don't know, like 7 out of 10? Maybe 6 out of 10? It's not perfect, but it's much better just by making a couple of changes. Okay, this team from Fieco22 is a team of a manager who knows what they're doing. They understand the rules. Everything is in the right order, and we've got a captain's armband on a Germany player. So a great start there. Dobvik and Ronaldo, like them as differential forwards. Defense and goalkeepers looking very, very strong there as well. One issue I see immediately is Xavi Simons is not predicted to play that many minutes, so he could be a real rotation risk player. I would be looking to remove him and replace him with someone like Szoboszlai for 7 million. Looks pretty good indeed. But the one thing I wanted to bring this team up and talk about is because of that double Turkey midfield on the bench, which makes this team really a 6 out of 10. Sorry, it is, because one thing when I speak about, you know, strategies and using these live substitutions, in-play substitutions to your advantage, is something about having the risky players play first and the safe players to fall back on play later. Now, we know for a fact that these Turkish players are risky. Çalhanoğlu and Gula are both risky picks, and I don't think we'll automatically expect them to do well in the same way as we would expect Fernandes to do well. We'd expect Mbappe to do well. You know, we just predict that it will happen no matter what. And those are the players that I'd like to bring on off my substitutes bench for the safety later on. If things go wrong in your starting 11 and you make some substitutions and all you've got to rely on is Turkish players, it's not going to necessarily go particularly well. So in terms of that strategy, it doesn't quite work, in my opinion, in a way of maximizing your potential in this game. Of course, it's fine to play this way, but if we're looking to really get the best possible results, we need to be using all of the strategies and tactics at our disposal. And one big strategy is making sure you have those safe players who play later on in the week on your bench, ready to replace anyone who fails in your starting 11. Because if things go wrong in this team, relying on Çalhanoğlu and Gula, you know, this is a recipe for disaster. It really is. But yeah, a few changes there can be fixed. Aussie Mike 78. This team is beautiful, wonderful, strong forwards, strong midfield, strong defense, and strong goalkeepers. The issue is, this is an FPL team. This is a Fantasy Premier League team. You're playing this like it's Fantasy Premier League. It is not. It's Euro Fantasy. Things are in the wrong order. But guys, once again, if you know how to play this game and you want to get involved with the in-play substitutions, you can turn a 7 out of 10 team, before we make any changes, all the way to, boom, change that, get Mbappe off, get Lukaku off the field, confirm that. I mean, we've got a little goalkeeper issue, but maybe we could potentially replace him as well. If you wanted to, for a kind of a goalkeeper we expect to at least get some game time. But do that, change our captain to Mittelstat, and we've turned a team that was not optimized into a team that is now optimized. This is now a 9 out of 10. That's all we needed to do. Move things around. And it's a 9 out of 10. And we can make those in-play substitutions and captain switches. And you've got a brilliant team. Don't lose your edge, guys. You have an edge at your disposal by making those in-play changes to your subs and your captains. Use them. And you can turn a good team into a great team. There we go. This team is from FPL Mate, and honestly, guys, this is as close as we're going to get as to a 10 out of 10 team as you are going to see on today's video. Guys, it's got everything. It's got all of these strong, reliable players on the bench, ready to replace some of the risky players on the field. It's hitting all of those key assets that we expect to do well. There's a little bit of, kind of hidden gem differential type players. The likes of hzfCWh and the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold are not going to be picked by the masses necessarily. So you still have that edge there, but at the same time, you've got a strong backup brigade on the bench. So everything is looking beautiful. Really like this team. I think maybe you probably don't need Pickford and Acosta, but that's just, again, personal taste. It's a great team. This is 10 out of 10. Like this. No changes. Okay, for this team, I'm going to have to be very, very brutal indeed because this team needs a little bit of tough love. So we're going to give it right now. So, first of all, let's go through the positives. Wind, Lewandowski, Sigankov, Bajrami, Mudryk, Kjaer, Kerkez, Barak, Mulder. All genuinely interesting, good, differential, hidden gems that could do really, really well. But where are all of the reliable players? Where is Mbappe, Kane, Lukaku, Fernandes, Mittelstadt, DeMarco, all of the England players? There's none of them. They're all being ignored. And what this team strikes me as, because obviously it's in the right order, everything is looking good, and the players who are on the field are clearly well-researched differentials who, have a genuine chance of doing quite well. But all of the, the reliable guys have been completely ignored. And, you can go crazy as you like with the kind of players. If you get, we've got Lewandowski here. If he manages to score a goal and no one else owns Lewandowski, you're going to feel great about it until Mbappe scores 2 goals, because he probably will, and you are actually down on points. Even if you have those players who are super low ownership, low selected, and they do really well, if you don't have the players that everyone else owns and they do just as well or even better, you're not gaining anything. There's nothing to be gained here. So, unfortunately, this team from Scott, it stinks of someone who thinks they are being a little bit more clever than they actually are. So I think this team is a genuine 3 out of 10. Yeah, not good. Now, this team I absolutely had to share with you. This comes from Manchester is Blue, and it's a Manchester City team. Like, look at it. It's fun, it's creative, and if you're looking just for pure enjoyment of the game, if you're a Man City fan, this is a 10 out of 10. But in terms of natural rating, it's a 4 out of 10. Once again, this team picked Dragowski. Again, please, guys, stop picking Dragowski. If you need a better 4 million goalkeeper, just go and watch the video. Watch the video on the goalkeepers. There's 4 million options available to you who might actually play. Come on. And finally, this team from Aaron, I really like. Højbjerg is a differential. I like it. We've got Ronaldo instead of Kane. I actually think out of Lukaku, Mbappe, and Kane, who are kind of the template 3 forwards, I would probably be most likely to replace Kane, to be honest. So, yeah, I like that. Going against Kane, interesting. Double Belgium attack. A lot of people will say that that's overkill. Actually disagree. I love it. I think Belgium have got a really nice opportunity for some fantasy points. We've got the likes of some other players here. Kumbula maybe could be replaced with an actual 4 million defender who's going to play. Obviously, Kumbula is here to save some money, but here is another great bit of advice, guys. There are some 4 million defenders that are actually worth going for. Obviously, we've got Mittelstadt and Weiss in the team already, but there are a few others. I wanted to highlight them for you now. So we've got Banku at Romania. He's like an attacking left back with a decent amount of ball recovery stats as well. He plays against Ukraine first game, so definitely an opportunity there. We've got Nego, who plays for Hungary. Some rotation risk there, but could be okay in his fixture against Switzerland. We've got Leinhardt, who plays for Austria. He plays against France and then the Netherlands. So, not ideal there. But if we just go for one of those players, I mean, I would probably say that maybe the Banku is the guy to go for here. Bring in Banku, just like that. And suddenly, this team is looking pretty good. Confirm it. That's a 9 out of 10 team right there, guys. That is a 9 out of 10 team. I think it could do very, very well Indeed. So those are all of the teams we are going to be rating for today's video. Like I say, if you do enjoy this kind of thing, you want to see us do this once again, let me know in the comment section and leave a like as well. Subscribe if you want to see it, of course, as well. And we'll think about doing some more. I think definitely a lot of people sending in their teams could actually do with watching a few more of my videos, if I'm perfectly honest, particularly the how to play video, because that is really going to help you a lot. So go check out that video. I'll leave a link right there for you guys. And aside from that, we'll see you tomorrow for yet another video, and we'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.